On a remote mountainside in Himachal Pradesh in northwest India, 30 people from all over the world have gathered to take part in the first World Hang Gliding Rally in the Himalayas. This fascinating, dangerous, hard and beautiful land, coupled with $15,000 worth of prize money, has lured many of the world's top hang glider pilots to this unknown corner of India. To fly in the Himalayas is the ultimate challenge. Everything is at stake, including their lives.
These are the things you think about when you're flying, when you wonder if you've done them properly.
For some of the competitors, flying is a new experience, a recently discovered adventure, embarked upon against all odds. For them, the competition is not all important. Just to fly in the shadows of these forbidding mountains is enough. But for the professional pilots, it's a way of life, an all-consuming passion. Hang gliding is their livelihood. Yet all these people have one thing in common, a fanatical desire to launch themselves into space and soar thousands of feet above the valley floor, where the air is as smooth as silk.
The last time it was like this, it was hailing within an hour.
If I win and you lose, then I win the bet. And if I lose and you win, then you win the bet. Okay. Otherwise, it's called out.
All right, $100.
$100? Okay.
Yeah. Who are you shooting? Oh, you got to buy probably, huh? Who are you flying against?
Lori Judy.
Well, I got to beat Marco then. But I didn't get into this to lose.
Dharamshala landing for Mr. Keith, over. इसकी आवाज कौन है?
जाएगी जाए नहीं सांस करना
नहीं इसकी आवाज
सेट कार थे ना
Dharamshala landing for Mr. Keith, over.
This is Keith, Dharamshala, go ahead.
Dharamshala landing for Keith. Then can we know at what time they are starting launching, over?
It looks like the pilots will probably be ready to fly by 11 o'clock. So if the pylons are all set up by then, I'll call you before then and let you know what the task is going to be.
At the bottom of the valley in the midday heat, landing sites are being prepared. Landing is a hazardous operation at the best of times. It is made even more dangerous here, where the terrain is rough and the landing area is hard to detect.
Behind that ridge, you'll see a road that runs along the bottom, up a zig, back along a zag, and then zigs again.
Okay.
Right? Now, directly between those two bits of the road is the pylon. Understand?
Gotcha.
Okay? And the landing area is this way and slightly to the right, up close to a hill. It's a large grey field.
I saw someone land there yesterday.
Okay? So you happy?
Yeah.
Happy with conditions?
The competition is run on a one-to-one basis. The pilots are seated and fly against each other in a series of heats.
Sky, let us have a good time.
After the buzzer has sounded, they have just 30 seconds to launch. If they don't, they're automatically disqualified from that heat.
When you hear the siren, 30 seconds.
It takes considerable skill and practice to read the weather conditions and flight characteristics of a hang glider. Once the pilot has learnt this, he can remain airborne and travel an incredible distance without power.
Moving camera.
No, I hope that's not mine.
Taking an orange. Haven't got much breeze coming up now.
There are two forms of lift that hang gliders use. Thermals, heated pockets of air which rise into the sky, and ridge lifts, when wind rises over an obstacle such as a mountain. Thermals are more difficult to find, but may carry the pilot to the base of the cloud layer. In the race, the competitors will use both forms of lift to fly around a difficult 70-kilometer course. After a grueling 2-hour flight, each competitor has the tricky task of making a safe landing. This colorful spectacle causes great excitement and provides a free show for the local people who flock in their hundreds to see these mad foreigners whom they've christened the Birdmen. Each day, a new course is set, but it still includes familiar landmarks. 3 electricity pylons. A group of judges equipped with binoculars wait at the base of each pylon and have the difficult task of deciding exactly who is winning. The competitor who has flown around the most number of pylons wins the heat. If 2 competitors have flown around the same number of pylons, whoever gets down first wins. It makes no difference to his score where or how he lands. The treacherous terrain, an abundance of bushes and low-level turbulence makes the designated landing areas very dangerous. This does not bother the experienced pilots unduly, but for the less experienced, it presents a multitude of problems. Namely, how to land without breaking a bone, but most important, without damaging your glider. Some were more successful than others.
Okay.
Dr. Martin, please come in.
Shit, no way. Get it. Yeah. The shoot got me in the chest.
If you keep just a fraction more speed on, you have nothing to play with.
Yeah, it was a bit. I was trying to keep it sock. I was a bit distracted. And
when there's strengths of wind, there's so little that it doesn't really
I was
matter which way
expecting
you
some
go.
wind.
Never counted it.
He said he made it and landed back at
Each evening, the post-mortem.
But I definitely beat him to the first 2, so if something... But, you know, if they didn't score us for not making them...
You didn't make it?
I know I did.
Unless you took it twice. If you went round twice, you took it.
I didn't make it twice. I made it on a straight line.
Pylons always ruin the competition because you've got to rely on the judges completely, and the pilots never agree with the judges.
Didn't we say something about
Something like that, yeah.
That's exactly what we said was going to happen, and that's what happened. Somebody goes further than the other guy, and he loses. And
if you miss the pylon.
Yeah.
That's why we were saying you should
that's kind of funny, and now the rules are going to be, because I know that you can both things.
Don't tell me it's mutton soup.
And then it sags the wires, right? So you tighten up the wires first. Then you put the heavy rock on there. It's got to be vertical.
Probably a good chance that it wasn't, and that's why everybody knew they were making it, and you guys didn't know it.
The ones who didn't make it by a long way. But in the spirit of the competition, when two competitors went over and they missed it by a little bit, we gave it to them. Well, I was really amazed today. We got all the results in really fast. I'm ready to match up the seedings for tomorrow.
Was following him. Every time that it started to catch him up, it would stick its legs out to cause more drag, slow it down, and it just was besotted with him. It just sat on his tail. 15 minutes it was with him, and everywhere he went, it would follow him. Like, and were you above there? Every time he'd circle, he would circle as well. I had the giggles. I was giggling away to myself.
Oh, wow. All right. So the advantage that I built up, I had about 800 feet at that point on my opponent.
Because he went for an extra pylon when he didn't need one. They went a different direction. I should have followed them. Did you find anything in that first bowl to the left?
Yeah, you have something everywhere. The problem is to choose the best.
Like that. Okay. You flew any breath.
それから世界のパールをクリアしてあげてついていったんだけど行くのを見て同じこと言ってます。
Up, down, and there's nothing. You try and flare out, and I flared out too late.
And where did you come out? In the field?
In a small tea plantation.
Yeah, no, it worked out.
Double it? Double it. Winner takes all.
Yeah, we were missing Andy Kozak up until the time that I walked in here.
That would be, if I win my heat and you win your heat, no, wait a minute, if I win my heat and you don't win your heat, then you have to pay 200? Right. It's a bet. Okay.
But Mike saw it. Now, in this format, everybody, when you're tied, that the way you break things like this is to have a big, exciting fly-off. The fastest guy around the course, he could decide the top 4 positions with a four-man fly-off.
Till now, in a one-on-one contest, it was not like this. It was a one-on-one contest before, and the fastest was not the winner.
The rules of states that you can't finish the meet on a time, and if we fly 2 one-on-one heats, it must finish on a tie.
In the rules, it says if there's a tie at the end of 7 rounds or June 7th, the tie will be broken by the tiebreaker system, so there won't finish on a tie.
Do you think it's fair that these top 4 places are going to be decided as to how the people that we flew in the meet?
Anyway, I don't think that one-on-one is a fair championship.
No, so wouldn't a 4-man heat decide everything be more valid for everybody with the same win-loss group?
But also you stated 3 days ago that if we ever got a 4-way tie for first before 7 rounds, that we would have a 4-way.
No, I've never said that.
You did in the car.
You said it would not. You said first place would not be decided by the tiebreaker.
No.
You did say that going up in the car.
And those rules in print are what I've got to stick with because that's what everybody came into this contest understanding.
If we lose, Leach, Ledden, and Ikanui and me can all get in front of us.
Yeah. You mean not in the overall finish?
Yeah.
Really? I thought he was assuring
losses.
Yeah.
So that means we could come 6 or 7.
But is that including the points that you'll get for having flown through Ardenai?
Yeah. If Gerard wins, then he can't lose.
He can't lose. No.
Sure.
And if I win and he wins, I can't win. I can get second. The worst he can do is third.
So, due to a complicated scoring and seeding system, The last day of the competition begins amidst confusion and frustration. Gérard Thévenot, the current French champion and recent European champion, has thrown down the gauntlet. His lead is almost unassailable. Chris Bulger, the US Masters champion, knows he must beat Larry Tudor to overcome Thévenot. 18 years old and with an exceptional flying talent, he has the confidence and aggression to perhaps pull off the impossible. The current world champion and #1 seed, Steve Moyse from Australia, must now utilize his 10 years of flying experience to beat the Frenchman. The race begins and the first heat takes off. As they pound down the slope, all their senses are channeled into what pilots term as tunnel vision. Nothing else matters except the corridor of space into which they leap. Once airborne, the search for that elusive thermal begins. Jim Reed takes off in the second heat. His opponent is Judy Ledden. Considered by his competitors to be a true gentleman and sportsman, Steve Moyse must now hope for a small miracle to win the championship. Gérard Thévenot takes off immediately after the buzzer, with Steve Moyse following.
Are you ready, Larry?
Yeah. It's too close.
Larry Tudor, world distance record holder, launches himself into space, and Chris Bulger takes up the challenge. Thousands have walked for miles in the scorching heat to the main landing site. They sit waiting in anticipation, oblivious to the midday sun. The first glider is sighted coming into land. Dudley Reed, who is seeded #6, wins his heat, and in doing so takes 6th place in the overall competition. A few kilometers away, above the Beer landing site, Larry Tudor descends. His experience in cross-country flying is not enough. He is lost to Chris Bulger, who, unbeknown to him, lands simultaneously at the main landing site. Judy Ledden, the women's world distance record holder and greatly respected by her male competitors, wins her heat and in the final tally comes third.
Oh, good.
One by one, the pilots land. The immense fatigue and relief of having the end in sight can make a pilot oblivious to everything, except the need to bring the glider down safely. Sometimes, this gives the flight a nasty sting in its tail. Steve Moyse, his glider instantly recognizable to the crowd, appears from the skies and with a sweeping turn shows everyone how it should be done.
Gee, it's pretty scary landing.
Why?
Oh, it's so small.
But Steve's expertise is not enough to snatch a last-minute victory. Above a third landing site far away across the other side of the valley, Gérard Thévenot begins his descent, confident in the knowledge that he has beaten some of the best hang gliders in the world.
Very good.
You went for a race? Yeah.
Gérard Thévenot takes the first prize of $5,000 back to France. Chris Bulger has come second and has shown that in the future he will be a major contender. Steve Moyse finishes fifth and Larry Tudor seventh. These two will return home feeling disappointed that they did not finish in the top four. But there is always the next competition to think about. Soon, the valley will be left in peace. The excitement will die and memories will fade. But for years to come, villagers from far and wide will talk about the Birdmen.